Hello everybody. This is the explanation of the previous video that I showed the simulation of this cloth, and I downloaded this cloth from the market, and it's a new cloth that you can go to market, but the market sometimes doesn't load. I hope that they will fix this issue. Anyway, I chose this cloth because this is the most complicated scenario that I can imagine. And you can see it's made of multiple pieces, not only multiple layers but tiered pieces. And if you take a look at the pattern, it's pretty crazy. You see that? And not only that, they are kind of um I don't know what to say and how to say it in English. um Rolling inside. You see that? This is the this is the uh, something that happened when you cut a piece of cloth and this kind of stretchy cloth that they kind of roll inside, right? You see that the roll, and they made it inside the application. This is super interesting, mind blowing, and I just this is by far the most complicated thing that that I have ever encountered. That I was wondering if I can simulate it. I want to see if the application is able to simulate this kind of cloth with this complication. And look at this. This is another cloth behind this, and it has multiple layer. This is not single layer. This is two layers, and this is two layers. And also the pants. It's like two pants on top of each other. And look at this rolling inside. They made it with the properties of the cloth, and that's how this application sets apart itself from the other applications that simulate, because you have properties. You can make the cloth, keep the shape, and simulate it without losing the shape that you assign to the properties. You can add um, elastic, you can add different material to different pieces of cloth, and you can simulate it inside Unreal as if it's in application. So, and also this time we have shoes, a big junky shoes, right? And I wanted to simulate these shoes too. I mean, sorry, I assign these shoes to my avatar too. So what I did inside Unreal Engine, look at my metahuman. Actually, this is a setup that, and also I'm going to talk about material later. This is a setup for metahuman that actually the whole thing, the thing is the all of the things are inside Blueprint, and it's been set up. So technically, I can set up a character with the cloth and everything, and it's ready for simulation. And maybe later I can provide some cloth to be sold when the plugin is released for metahuman. And if you take a look at this inside the blueprint of this metahuman, actually this is the metahuman Taro, I think its name, and I changed the body to tall and slim because it was suitable for the cloth. And I have the combined one here as another mesh. Nothing complicated, just the combined one here inside the blueprint, and also it has slightly the component, and I assign the cloth, which is made for this character. And now I'm able to uh, simulate it. But before that, let's talk about the cloth a little bit. Um, the cloth here, style 3D component, and it's our cloth. And what we have here, we have collision filter that I will talk about it in another video, but I want to show the other things. Each piece of cloth listed here, they have properties, each piece, and you can change the properties here for each piece of cloth, right? And you can assign different physical material for each piece of cloth. You see that you have pressure, you have shrinkage, or whatever it is that you assign inside the application. This is a complete control, and you have materials that have material property in them. And I made one that I call it strong for this piece of cloth. Here it is. See, because I wanted this piece of cloth, this piece, a little bit less shaky, and um, you can disable things on that, or you can change the physical material for the material that apply to this cloth. And overall, for example, this material is applied to the whole cloth, and if you change the physical property of the material, it applies to the whole cloth. And here is the physical property for the material, and as you can see, we have presets and everything. So if you had this question that how much control do we have regarding simulation, full control, there is no problem. You have whatever here you have here too. It's full control. But obviously you don't have this panel, so what are you limited inside Unreal Engine is you cannot change the cloth regarding cloth shape because you don't have this panel, and you cannot change the cloth shape, you cannot change the sawing, or you cannot remove a piece of cloth or change the shape of it. So this is regarding limitation, but you absolutely have full control on uh, simulation of the cloth. But you're still able to hide some piece of cloth if you want to. There is an option, for example here, you can select a piece of cloth and you can basically hide it. Let me see, hidden. You see, if I make it true, this is not showing up. You see, but it's still there. It's still calculated and simulated. But calculation, simulation, you have full control. You can tell a piece of cloth to not interact with some portion of the body. You can have different collision regions, unlimited, and you can say this cloth doesn't interact with this cloth, or this portion of body, and this is incredible control. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying more option for simulation. And if you are into simulation, this, you know that this is very important. Once again, Marvelous Designer provide more option, or Marvelous Designer Cloud 3D provide more option for creation and makes it easier, way easier to create a cloth. But when it comes to simulation, um, it's way easier to use Style 3D, and basically The hard part is simulation if you are doing um, cloth simulation. The creation part, Marvel's Designer makes it a little bit easier, but you can do it whatever it is. I mean, whatever style it is inside Style 3D too. So this cloth is pretty awesome. Look, these hanging parts. Some of them are went into the pocket. Some of them are just hanging, and I found this cloth amazing for a demonstration of capability um, of the plugin, right? So somebody also asked if it is real time or it's you comparing it to UDraper, and I need to say I really hate this word real time. What does that mean for cinematic purposes? Because when you go real time, you usually compromise on quality. For example, we have real time hair simulation. This is a problem, and hair simulation always bad, and you have to disable it to have something decent. This is not a quality that you can. This is not acceptable quality for hair simulation. The quality of the face, the quality of a body, the formation, it's all awesome. And now we have cloth simulation that is absolutely realistic. But what should we do for the hair? Yeah, there is one option that we can use. We can simulate the hair inside Maya and export the curves, which is beyond cumbersome. I mean, imagine how many curves you have to export and how much space it takes, and you have to go back to Maya and this kind of stuff. I hope that we find some plugin or something for hair simulation inside Unreal Engine, because it's really lack this feature for cinematic purposes. I'm not talking about games, because obviously for games you want performance, you don't want necessarily highest quality because you cannot. But for cinematic, you're just looking for uh, quality. And people always saying real time, real time. Okay, real time is good for games, but it's not good for cinematic. As long as it gives me high quality simulation, I don't care if I have to wait 5 minutes. I don't want to be real to have it real time. I just want to have the highest quality. And this thing is exactly what I need. It simulates the cloth in a manageable time, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Imagine that. For example, for an animation that is 1 minute, we take motion capture, we refine it for days. Maybe we have um, motion capture for the face, and then we want to everything to be perfect. We spend time on details. For animation, we're fixing it. Maybe there is a little jitter there, we're fixing it, and we spend days and days, and we want perfection. And now let's use real-time cloth simulation that looks like a piece of paper that's flying for some reason and penetrating into each other. So this doesn't make sense at all. And we want perfection, we want cinematic quality, we don't want real time. And this is not real time, but this is high quality simulation. And all right, let's talk about other stuff. For example, this thing, uh, this mesh that I exported. I'm opening the mesh. It has shoes. You cannot use the way the shoes it is there Let me see if I can show the wireframe. Yep. So this shows it needs a clean topology. You have to have the same shoes as single mesh or whatever prop is this as single mesh and with clean topology. You cannot have sharp polygons. It doesn't work with simulation. So I just exported the shoes from Unreal Engine, and in Maya I made a clean topology for it and assign it to combine mesh. And so I have a single mesh, single skeleton that I can use for um, and simulation. All right, and I also exported the textures. So if it is 8K, and if you take a look at this, for example, you see we have the texture. It's 8K. It's this uniform texture. And I bring the map here and assign them appropriately. For example, the roughness needed to have multiplier, and I noticed that I don't need metallic map, so I removed it from the material. And the material also for creation, if you want to make cloth, choose cloth for shading mode, and I found this value very good to cloth. I mean, it's resembling a cloth-like material. If you put it on one, see, it's like the pores of the cloth. Depending of the type of the cloth, you can change this value. But for the most, for 90% of the time, you use just 0.1 for this material. And then I went to the mesh because here has a mesh, right? And it comes with multiple materials, and I just assign the uniform materials to all of them. And now let's simulate it to see how we can simulate it. So I'm going to delete this once again. So when I bring my metahuman, it comes with the cloth and I don't need to do anything else. Maybe I need to change my CPU to something with higher clock, because if you're working with Unreal or Maya 3D things, you need high clock CPU. You don't need necessarily cores. The cores are good, are helpful, but mostly clock. Clock speed is most important thing. So now I bring the character and I can go to combine one and assign animation to it. You first need to assign an animation. And speaking of animation, I actually, as before, I retargeted inside Maya because it's way easier to in Maya. Of course, you have rig and you can retarget it very easy and fix the problems inside Maya, while you can do it in Unreal Engine, and it's kind of a little bit harder, at least for me, but you have this option too. And I'm going to cover that too. So how you can assign an animation and even fix it after simulation. For example, you assign an animation and you notice that there is a penetration and you want to fix the animation, how we can fix it inside Unreal without needing to go to another application. Just downloading something from, for example, Mixamo, and put it on a character and fixing the retargeting issue inside Unreal and simulate it. So basically, you do everything inside Unreal, not needing for go in Maya. So because we used Maya, and if I show you retargeting option for this guy is all animation, right? As I mentioned before, and also for the metahuman body, it needs to be all animation. So this is something you keep in mind. It's all animation, and I removed post-processing because I don't need post-processing, and you should remove it if you retarget it from Maya in Maya. But if you don't retarget it in Maya, you need post-processing. So you assign post-processing for both of them, for the body and for the combined body. Both of them need to take post-processing. And in order to import the combined body, I hope that everybody knows that you need to select metahuman based skeletal as a skeletal mesh. So um, so let's continue simulation. So I assign an animation for the combined one, and you're in animation folder. And once again, I'm going to repeat it. So if somebody missed the video, in order to simulate for animation, if when you have an animation, you have to make a pose. You open animation, you go to frame 0, create asset, create pose asset, create pose, and I made a pose here. This is the pose that I made for this animation. So you need that pose. So we have a pose, we have an animation. I'm going to assign the animation to this slat for the character, and I'm going to select style 3D, style 3D component, and in pose fitting I'm going to enable it, and I'm going to assign the pose to this slat that waiting for the pose, and I'm going to start to the component and hit pose fitting. And we have the cloth on pose, right? Next, we are going to select, actually, you need to make sure that you are selecting garment cache record. Give it appropriate name. So I'm going to give it test 2, which is something about caching. I noticed that Alembic file, people say that Alembic file is big, but I noticed, I don't know where the data is stored with this application, but the cache size is kind of tiny, and it doesn't increase the project size, and this is a big plus. So I know this, I read the documentation, I know this. And by the way, I played with the simulation, and if you want to increase simulation, I'm going to explain simulation quality for whatever reason. If you want to increase it, I'm going to explain a little bit of simulation. And here in simulation portion, let me find it. Simulation. Solver property. If we have a few options. Smooth animation, I guess it's for starting animation. It's not going to be, it's kind of, because suddenly it starts. It's a sudden start, right? And the cloth simulation sometimes goes bad. And if you have this smooth animation, it makes sure that it's not going to happen. And GPU ID, if you have another GPU, you want to simulate the cloth with another GPU. This actually is very interesting, because you can have two GPUs, one running the Unreal Engine and one for simulating. Because whenever you are using the single GPU for simulation, it slows down the frame the frame rate, and it probably affect the simulation speed too, because you are using the CPU GPU for rendering and simulating too. So I'm going to try this out. And we have sub steps. So basically right now it's 1, but if you put it on 2 or 3, you basically saying instead you are basically dividing each step to 2 or 3 times, so it technically takes twice if you put it on 2 iteration. This is the most important. You probably just need to change the iteration if you are not satisfied with the quality, if you can use it. And I noticed that you can bump it up pretty high, like 200. It's getting way better, and it doesn't affect much on performance. But I noticed that the default simulation quality is just fine for everything. You don't need to change anything. Okay, let's start simulating. And I'm going to, and by the way, for the previous video I didn't change the simulation quality because I just wanted to show the quality that you can get out of the box. And let's simulate it. And this is the speed that we are dealing with. And so if you take a look, see, frame rate is pretty low, but as I said, if we use multiple GPU, we may increase the speed, which I'm going to test it. So I'm not going to simulate the whole animation. It takes like, I think, 2 minutes, and it's absolutely fine. Please don't look for real time. Real time, what is the use case of real time when you are compromising for um, quality? Real time is for game, and I don't make game. I'm interested in making cinematics inside Unreal Engine, and I use Unreal Engine as a tool for making cinematics. So real time for me is just meaningless. So I'm going to stop the animation here because we don't need to record it all the way. So it saves the cache. And now we have to change it to play. And we have a couple of cache for this glove. This is the first cache that I used for the animation, and this is our cache that we just recorded. And when you put the cache, you should wait until it's loaded. Then next step is going to hide the body of combine one, and going to visibility and disable visibility. And now we are going to assign it to our actual metahuman. By the way, it has a little bit offset. The body is 2-unit offset with the metahuman. It's just from the metahuman, the offset coming from the metahuman. It's absolutely fine. You don't need to worry about it. After applying animation, the offset will go away. And let's drag it to sequencer, remove the control rig, and assign animation, and it's male catwalk, right? And next step is assigning garment cache. All right, so it's all set. As you can see, it's working very well. So this is our new cache, right? And I can assign another cache here. So in order to show you how it works, I'm going to assign the same cache that I used for the animation for the video, previous video. I'm going to change the cache, and I'm using this cache now, which is complete. And garment cache again. Here it is. And the nice thing is, if you move the character, everything moves with it. So don't worry about moving it. You don't need to be on a single, or move it or rotate it, whatever it is. Then let's play. For example, right now you can see it has a little bit offset from ground, and I can just let's reset. Okay, can let have them. I can adjust. Okay, and you probably have noticed how these little stuff are moving, and it is just amazing. Look at this. Some of them went to the pocket, some of them hanging, and they are interacting. Some of them are, look at the, see that? How complicated it can be. And look at this rolling. The rolling also is there. And they are, the cloth keeps its shape. By the way, you can actually technically convert Marvel's Designer cloth in to Style 3D. I will have a video on that, because it can trace. It can trace when you import an object. For example, you have this option that it says, if you check, it's selected as garment trace as 2D pattern from UV map, which is insane. So you can technically convert Marvelous Designer Cloth into Style 3D. And what else? Yeah, that's about it. And um, in upcoming videos, I will come up with some other um, challenging scenario. For example, if a character has a backpack, it's very challenging. If you just tried it once, you know that it's kind of impossible to have a backpack to have interact with the glove correctly, because there is a very tight distance between backpack. It's actually pressuring the glove, right? And you want to apply this thing, and you want to, the cloth behind the backpack doesn't work, doesn't move, right? It's very challenging, and I'm trying to see if I can pull off this challenging scenario too. I'm trying to see the limitation of the software and how we can overcome these limitations or overcome these challenges. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned. Please subscribe to my channel so you will have actually you will notice whenever I'm going to post a video. I have not been very active recently, but I'm going to be active in YouTube, and I'm going to, this is my plan, this is my that I'm going to do. I'm going to have tutorials for cloth simulation for Style 3D, and I'm going to have a complete tutorial for the Style 3D. I'm also going to have other tutorials regarding animation, how to retarget animation, and if you want to try Style 3D, they are, they have, as I said, for now they said they are just using um, giving beta version to Chinese people with Chinese SIM card. But now they gave me a temporary form so you can fill it out to get access, and I'm going to put the form so you can fill it out. Put the form in description so you can fill it out and get access. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned. Please subscribe. There is a lot of exciting things coming.